So I've argued with all schools of thought, all sects during my time as a activist. As I said, I'm no longer an activist, but these are my recollection. The one I didn't like the most, or the two I didn't like the most, were Deobandis and Salafis. I'm going to talk about Salafis, and we'll talk about Deobandis another day. Why didn't I like Salafis? I just found them aggressive. Now, it wasn't just being aggressive. I can get being aggressive on big issues. You know, when 1 million people are being murdered, all right, that's a reason to get upset. Yeah, when you see real problems, orphans getting, you know, attacked or bombed, or, you know, women getting battered, you know, these are big, horrible things that you see to other human beings. I can understand that you might want to get upset, angry about those issues. Yeah, animal rights. I get why animal rights people are angry. It's horrible to see anything in this world that God has created suffer. That's a reason to get upset. Salafis weren't like that. I didn't find in all my years Salafis getting really upset about people suffering or animals suffering. Salafis generally almost always got upset and aggressive about petty minor issues. You know, they could get upset about arguing over leather socks. They could get upset about flipping, you know, does woman pluck her eyebrows, or, you know, whatever. Any petty flipping issue, they were on it. Yeah. Now, they would always counter. They would go, "Oh, bro, oh, how can you say that? You're saying some matters in Islam are petty. You know, everything's important in Islam." Well, firstly, everything isn't as important, is it? There is a priority system in Islam, isn't there? Right? The fact that you don't know that just shows how poorly you were educated in your training. But even if we take your argument, you know, the Salafis' argument, everything's important, well then how comes you ain't talking about the other stuff? If everything's important, how comes you're talking about leather socks and not about the global billion-dollar Islamophobia industry that's literally destroying young children's lives and making them ashamed of their faith, depressed, and literally flunking their very futures because they feel like outcasts? If everything's important, as you say, how comes that's more important for you to bang on about for the last 48 hours, frothing at the mouth like some guy who's got rabies, than the global Islamophobia industry, which I hardly ever saw Salafis talk about? So, in other words, these small things were drilled into them, and I mean, that's like all sects, yeah, all these kind of nutty flipping groups, but they were uber aggressive about it, uber generally negative about it, and just generally horrible about it. You know, they wouldn't bat an eyelid calling you a kafir or a deviant or what, you know, they had these horrible things that they could easily label another Muslim. They had no love for another Muslim. And that's that was another big thing. I found just a lack of love in them. And I might sound kind of a bit soft, but Islam makes your heart soft. That's the beauty of Islam. You look at the Prophet, he was a soft-hearted guy. Allah calls Ibrahim alayhi salam soft-hearted. Allah loves that. But Salafis were hard-hearted people in my experience. And my experience wasn't a small sample. I met thousands upon thousands of these guys. I did talks in their mosques. They were generally hard-hearted people, not soft-hearted. They didn't have love. I didn't see it in their warmth. They weren't warm people. You go to Sufis, they're generally warm people. They got their own problems. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Sufis are great, but they're warm people. They got love. You speak to Sufis, generally even talks about love a lot. They will actually cry over, you know, things that they see that when they see suffering in the world, you know, because they're soft-hearted people. The Prophet would cry about that. No, there's no shame in that. That don't make you less of a man, unless you're thinking the Prophet's less of a man. Peace be upon him. Salafis didn't. They never did that. Their instant reaction was hating on someone, calling them a deviant. You know, they were hot on, you know, what a woman wore, you know, she dressed correctly. They were like flipping fashion police. But ask them about, you know, battered women getting, you know, knocked out every 3 minutes in the UK and what they've done about it. You see them going blank. Didn't interest them. You know, how can that be? Because one was about a rule. They could froth at the mouth at the rule and feel like bang their chest and get really aggressive about it as if they're defending Islam. One was about human. They didn't care about humans. And that was the thing that I just couldn't connect with. And in a way, you know, I'm so sorry to say this. I know this is going to be really controversial, but to me, after all my years of activism, I found that a pretty evil belief system that could have made good men care about other human beings and make them really love Muslims and do something for Muslims, you know, really bust a gut to make this world a better place. But instead it just turned into petty debaters that hated everyone. And I know that's not every Salafi. I've got some mates who are Salafis, but generally, you know, you can never paint everyone on the same brush, but generally that is what my perception was and why I just never really liked the guys. They just weren't nice people. I can disagree with someone and still love them in my heart. I can get angry. I can get mad at someone. I could honestly insult someone, but in my heart, I could still have love for them, right? And most of the people I argue with, whether it's face to face or on the net, I don't actually hate them. I actually still got a lot of love for them. In fact, I know I might have insulted you out there or whatever, but I will actually sometimes go away and think, I shouldn't have said that or whatever. In my heart, I'd have felt bad about it. But Salafis, no, because they generally, they didn't themselves have love. They weren't loving people. And it, you know, really destroys them in many ways.